Welcome to the Explainer. Have you ever wondered how a plain old .zip file from a developer magically turns into a clean, installable package on your Linux machine? Well, today we're going to pull back the curtain on a script that does exactly that for Apache NetBeans on Debian systems. And the best part is, this whole thing is open source. The link is right there on your screen. I really suggest you check it out. You can follow along with us, see the whole picture, and hey, maybe you'll even spot an improvement you can contribute. All right, let's dive into this code.
So here's our game plan for today. We're going to start with the why, the problem this script is actually solving. Then we'll get our hands dirty and break down the download and the packaging process, piece by piece. And finally, we'll see how to put this whole thing on autopilot using GitHub and start thinking about how you can use these exact same tricks.
Okay, let's start at the very beginning. What's the big deal here? What problem are we really trying to solve? I mean, why would you go through all the trouble of writing a script for this? That right there is the heart of it. Apache NetBeans, well, they just give you a generic .zip file. And sure, you could just unzip it and run it from a folder somewhere, but that's kind of messy, and it's not really how things are done on Linux. This script takes that .zip and automatically turns it into a proper .deb package, the standard for systems like Ubuntu. This makes it super easy to install, to manage your updates, and to cleanly uninstall when you need to. Right, that makes total sense. So, looking at the script, the very first real action it takes is running this pretty long curl command. Let's break that down. What exactly is going on there? So curl is basically the Swiss Army knife for grabbing data from the command line. This line is our digital courier, really. We're pointing it at the Apache servers and just saying, hey, go fetch the specific version of the NetBeans zip file that we need. And if we break that command down, you can see it's made of a few key parts. That little L flag, super important. It tells curl to follow any server redirects, which happens all the time on download sites. The O is simple, it just lets us name the file we're saving. And this part right here, $NetBeans version, that is the secret sauce that makes the script so flexible. It's a variable we can change for every single new release without touching the code. And once that download is finished, the next step is, well, it's exactly what you'd expect. We just unzip the archive to get all the application files out so we can work with them. So we've got the files. Now I'm starting to see commands like nvsubstat and mkdir. It looks like we're actually starting to build the package structure itself. So what's the play-by-play in this section? You absolutely got it. We're now building this package from the ground up. And envirosubst is this really clever little tool. It scans a template file, in this case, one called control.tpl, and it substitutes in any environment variables it finds, like our version number. This is how we generate the final metadata files that the Debian packaging system needs to understand what it's installing. Okay, with the metadata sorted, we need to create the actual skeleton of our package. The mkdir-p command is perfect for this. It builds out the standard directory structure that Linux applications expect to see. We're making a home for the main executable, another for all the icons, and so on. And once those folders exist, it's really just a matter of putting everything in its right place. The cp, or copy commands, just take the actual application launcher and all the different sized icon files and puts them into their proper homes inside this temporary structure we've just built. Okay, so everything is laid out just right. Now we get to the real heart of the Debian-specific stuff. These two commands, dhmake and dbuild. These feel like where the real magic happens. What do they actually do? This slide has the perfect analogy for this. Think of dmake as the architect. It looks at all our files and it draws up the official blueprints for the package. It creates all the scaffolding. Then dbuild is the construction crew. It takes those blueprints and all of our source files, and it actually builds the final installable deb package. And here we see the architect, dmake, in action. We're telling it to set everything up as a single binary package, and we're passing it some key info, like the package name, which, again, uses that awesome version variable to keep things dynamic. And finally, the construction crew gets to work. Dbuild kicks off the entire build process. Those -u and -uc flags are just telling it, hey, don't worry about cryptographically signing this package, and -b says we only want the binary. When this command finishes, boom, we have our shiny new .deb file ready to go. So we've got a script that works, which is great, but how do we avoid having to log into a machine and run it by hand every single time a new version of NetBeans comes out? Well, the answer to that is automation. And here, we're using GitHub Actions. The key is this event trigger called workflow_dispatch. What that means is it literally adds a Run Workflow button right on the GitHub page for your project. You can just click it, type in the new version number, and it kicks off the entire process for you. No terminal needed.
The workflow itself is really just a simple recipe of the steps we've already talked about, but it's running on a virtual machine that GitHub provides. As you can see, it checks out the code, installs the same Debian tools we just used, it makes our script executable, runs it with the version number we gave it, and then, as a final step, it uploads the finished deb package so we can just download it.
And this single line of code is the glue that holds it all together. This special syntax, the sttg github event.inputs.version, that's how GitHub Actions takes the version number we typed into the website and passes it directly as an argument to our shell script. It's the bridge that connects that manual click to our automated process. So, after going through all of that, what are the big ideas we should really take away from this whole thing? Let's zoom out for a second.
The real lesson here is how we took a pretty tedious manual process, download, unzip, create folders, move files, build, and we chained it all together into one single repeatable script. We saw that tools like dashmake and dbuild aren't nearly as scary as they sound once you understand their roles. And then we put the whole thing on autopilot. This pattern is so powerful and you can reuse it for almost anything. And that really brings us to the final thought I want to leave you with. This whole explainer wasn't just about NetBeans. It was about the incredible power of scripting. So take a second and think about your own work. What's that one boring, repetitive task you do all the time that you could just automate away? The tools are all right there for you.